you get so big getting food of this kind?
Hello and welcome in. I'm going to be breaking down the Season 2 trailer for Star Wars Resistance. I have my Kylo Ren shirt on appropriately. I'm excited to kind of go through and give you some thoughts on what I think is going to happen in the story in this trailer. So with that, let's dive in. Okay, so we have the trailer here. It opens with gunfire. A lot of this appears to be sound effects from the end of the first season. Then we have Bucket, and we have Bucket here looking into hyperspace. We kind of scrub through as we watch as well. So this, of course, again, is the end of the first season. We have CB-23 there along the bottom. And then we get the Colossus in space. You see there's a little bit of a short out in the engines. This part of the trailer talks a lot about the Colossus having problems. I would say that those are some of the problems that it's having issues with its engines, and that sort of thing. The music through here is really incredible. And then, of course, we got OP-Pit. Justice for OP-Pit. He does not seem to have his mop back. That is, if we do not get like a full story for him, I just don't know how I'm gonna feel. Honestly, I don't know that I'm gonna feel whole. But we have Kaz and Niku walking through with CB-23. Looking here, diagnostics. Okay. Looking at the ARG-Besh here, it appears to say diagnostic error. If anybody's ARG-Besh out there is better than mine, go ahead and let me know. Up here, it looks like, or section number hanger. Okay, so that says section hanger. Sorry, I can kind of read ARG-Besh. I don't have every letter memorized. I can usually like put it in context. So there's nothing super secretive on here, but he's just looking at a diagnostic for Colossus. What I like about this is you can see that the Colossus is this big diamond shape with a crossbar in the middle, that there's not necessarily ship all the way through the center. Which I think is an interesting design that I did not necessarily pick up on.
First Order at our backs. We're running low.
So they're talking about the First Order's chasing them, obviously, still chasing them as they travel through hyperspace. We can see Yeager and Tora and their droid there on the hangar.
Low on everything.
Yeager's
water,
like
even
we're running
fuel.
low on everything. This is really cool. This looks like the stuff from Solo, A Star Wars Story, the coaxium in a way. I love this little guy. I love his waddle. Watch his waddle. Watch the waddle. That's the best part. I am so excited to see the pirates interact with Captain Doza. Really am. And I'm especially excited for what this means for Sonara now that she's still kind of dealing with her dual loyalties. That was one of the most interesting parts of the finale to me, was seeing Kragan and his crew end up on the Colossus. Doza's like, give me a break, we got stuff going on. So here's a space battle. We have TIE fighters flying in, several of them in fact, along with another ship there of the good guy variety. So there's a little bit of a scramble.
And you can thank your captains for that.
And there's Kragan just not really agreeing with, needing to be in a fight. If we look here, it's a shot of ships taking off, but you can kind of see around here, those appear to be not ships. So I wonder, throughout the trailer you can see creatures. There's a lot of creatures in this trailer, which I find really interesting. And I wonder if this is not taking place during one of those creature shots. These ships just looked amazing. The animation looks like several steps up from the first season. It looks like they really found something. I love these creatures. I love this snow outfit on Tora. Makes me think of Padme's snow outfit from the Clone Wars micro series. It's very sleek. Very nice looking coat. This is really cool, this place. I want to know what this place is. There's a small part of me that wonders if this isn't Batuu. It probably isn't, because there seems to be a lot more greenery than what is implied about Batuu. But we know Yeager is from Batu, so it wouldn't surprise me if they ended up going there. We know there's a resistance presence there just from the story of Galaxy's Edge. We know that Yeager is there from the first season, and it's possible, but I don't know that we know that for a fact. And here we have some very familiar looking bird people that look like they could be related to one half of the Flix and Orca duo. We know that they went to visit family at some point in the first season, or that might have been during the shorts, but either way. So I don't know if these are just going to be other members of that species, or if they're going to be visiting family. Either way, it's exciting to see more of them. I love this alien design in general, and I think that would be pretty sweet to see more of. Here we can see them with the pirates. Based off of the canopies in the back, this could either be the planet here that we were seeing from above. And I'm seeing now you can see somebody walking down there. Sorry, went back too far. This is an inelegant process. Oh wait, what's going on back here? Hold the phone. Is that Kaz with Buggles? I think that's Kaz with Buggles right there. Yeah, I think that's Kaz with Buggles. That's fantastic. I didn't even notice that. But based off of those canopies we were saying, it could either be here. There appears to be a group of people walking there, or this could be the Colossus, to be honest. This looks like a lot of what we've seen on the Colossus. I love that the alien that was voiced by Jennifer Hale is back. That's pretty fantastic. CBs gurgling around. This person is probably from the possibly Batu planet, would be my guess. She seems to have Colossus readouts in her hand. This person is wearing some sort of scout trooper armor, and they seem to be scuffling a little bit.
From one tyrant, Captain Craig.
And then there's Kragan making a face. Here we have our baddies. We have Tierney and Pyre, and of course, Tam. Oh, that ship looks nice. They really do ships well in the show, and they did ships really well in the first season, so I'm really excited to get the chance to see more ships as they appear in this show. We have Tam running. Here we can clearly see Tam is in her TIE Fighter outfit, which is really exciting to see her as part of the of everything. Here she is talking to Tierney, and she's not yet in her uniform, so we're going out of order here. Oh, here we got more letters. This looks like the end of the word, like OSB, BSO, Black Spire Outpost, maybe? Probably not. Can't quite make out what those are. But there she is, looking at her helmet. Tam dealing with her stuff. And the way this is cut, it makes me think that, it's probably her in one of these ships, but you can always have deceitful editing.
To finding the Colossus.
Now here we have Tierney saying that Tam is going to be critical to finding the Colossus, which is going to come in here in a second, later in the trailer. Here we have Phasma. So here's our first clue as to when a lot of the season is taking place. So we have Phasma. As far as we know, Phasma is dead in The Last Jedi. Even if this is somehow, even if you don't believe she's dead, you can see her helmet clearly here does not have the busted up eye patch. So this is definitely before we get to The Last Jedi and before her fight with Finn. It could coincide with part of The Last Jedi, but it would just be before that fight. There's a lot of moments within The Last Jedi where people can step away to make a phone call.
See to your execution personally.
I don't think that's Gwendolyn Christie. So here's something a lot of people have been pointing out. This appears to be a new kind of stormtrooper. There's some red going on there. I don't know if that red is from a flare. I don't know if that red is from an artifact. We're going to see in a little bit in the trailer if there's blaster fire going on, but there seems to be some red glowing. Here, we have a ship flying away, a lone ship flying away from a Star Destroyer. And that Star Destroyer firing on ruins in space, which is interesting. You can see it looks like different ship parts. And they're destroying something. I wonder if those could be... I mean, this could be a ship. It could be... I don't know what it would be from anything we've seen in the movies, unless this is like the opening of The Last Jedi, maybe. Maybe it's ruins of Starkiller Base, though there's not a lot of Starkiller Base that looks like that.
Everywhere.
Here the alien's talking about... and by the way, this alien sounds like the voice of Padme from the Clone Wars Cat Tabor to me.
They're everywhere. Entire planets are just giving up.
I don't know if that's true, but it makes me think of that. This is another one of these planets we're seeing here is this coral planet. This seems to be the one where they're fighting the sea monsters. Here we see mostly, if not entirely, First Order ships flying in. This looks like the same possibly Batu planet. Again, I'm calling it possibly Batu because I don't know what else to call it. There are no spires in the shot, so again, it makes me think it's not Batu. But, you know. We have the shuttle. We saw the shuttle a lot in the first season. That was not necessarily attached to Kylo. I like that these guys are just chilling here. That makes me think of a lot of shots we see throughout Star Wars. There's people just here watching them come in. Hype is talking about how it's like the Empire when he was a kid.
When I was a kid.
And so we're getting this theme that the First Order is going everywhere. So that's an interesting thing, too, about The Force Awakens that I think not a lot of people realize is, yes, they blew up Starkiller Base, but the First Order won The Force Awakens in a lot of ways. In theory, I mean, basically, the New Republic is destroyed, right? They successfully destroyed the New Republic. It's just them and the Resistance now. So now it makes sense that the First Order, even though they lost that base, they didn't lose Kylo, they didn't lose Phasma, they didn't lose Snoke, they didn't lose Hux, they didn't lose any super important personnel. So it stands to reason that even though that base was a huge hit, not having the New Republic actually puts them ahead. You know, where the First Order lost a moon or a planet, the New Republic lost their entire capital system of several planets. So here we can clearly see the fireball flying away, and then it cuts to close-up on this cockpit. I've seen other people theorize this is probably Tam, just because of the nature and the context of the trailer. I don't know. That could be, again, that could be deceitful editing. I don't think it's a bad guess. I just don't think it's a guaranteed understanding.
They know how to find us.
Yeager there, this is 100% intentional editing. We have Yeager going, how did they find us? Cut to Tam holding a comlink. That goes to earlier, Tierney said she's critical to finding the Colossus. The implication is that Tam has started to rat out her friends in order to gain acceptance within the First Order. So here we have ships flying, flying against ships that do... So this is the Fireball. This does not appear to be an Imperial ship. I don't necessarily know whose ship it could be. But there's a lot of other factions, as we're going to see here in a minute in the trailer. Here is a really interesting looking ship. It almost looks kind of TIE fighter-y in a way with these things here on the end and that dome. But this is a bounty hunter we're going to start seeing a lot in the trailer. This is interesting. So this has to be Kaz's dad. Kaz's dad was voiced in the pilot by an actor by the name of Zima. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. He's a character actor. I guarantee you have, if you watch any amount of television, you have seen him somewhere. That to me, I figured Kaz's dad was going to become important at some point. I've been on the theory that Kaz's dad was going to be a villain. We don't know that for a fact. But you didn't bring in an actor who's been around to do a couple of throwaway lines in the pilot. So Kaz's dad was always going to be important. This voice sounds like Zima's voice to me. I could be completely wrong, but it sounds like the same actor, and it's just another man talking to Kaz. It's just logically. Sounds very logical. He's, of course, if he is Kaz's dad, he would be a senator. that regalia looks like it's possible to be Senator's garb. My theory again that he's a what would they would call a centrist senator who would be aligned with the First Order. Here he's clearly helping Kaz, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's not with the First Order either. He could be with the First Order unintentionally, who knows? Or he could be a good guy. My theory could be completely wrong. I don't know that this shows it one way or another, but I like that we get to actually see Kaz's dad.
But you can. There are bounty hunters who might be coming.
Bounty hunters. So this fellow is a fellow we have seen in The Force Awakens. This was the guy that Finn almost teamed up with to fly away when he booked passage and he was going to leave, but then he didn't because Maz's castle came under fire from the First Order and Hosnian Prime blew up. That's this guy. He has also appeared in some expanded universe material that I have not personally read that seems to have some Clone Wars connections. I'm kind of going off of other stuff I've seen on Twitter or from Star Wars Explains breakdown because it's a gap in my lore understanding. But that will bring into play some interesting things we're going to see here in a minute. Sorry, I'm skipping around too much. Okay, so he's there. He's ready to do stuff. This guy, I think this is the guy that was walking by that ship I pointed out earlier that I thought kind of looked like a TIE fighter, but not, and was interesting. He appears to be, I believe the pronunciation is Itachi. It's the same species as Sei's Tin from the prequel trilogy, one of the Jedi who fought around there. He's got this really cool looking helmet. Here we go. So these are 100% super battle droids. So this connects to the Clone Wars story from the guy from The Force Awakens that I've been told about, possibly. If not, it's just super battle droids. It's not unheard of. In fact, in Legends, there's a novel called Survivor's Quest by Timothy Zahn, where Luke and his wife, Mara Jade, face up against droid Dakars and other prequel-era droids. So it could be a case of just somebody finding leftovers from the Clone Wars and using them in battle, or it could have some connection to the bounty hunters. It's a little hard to say. This guy's from the Guavian Death Gang. We've seen them in Resistance before. I believe with Marcus, with Yeager's brother, but I'm not 100% sure that's when we saw them before. And of course we've seen them throughout the sequel trilogy as well. So those would tie into the bounty hunters we've been hearing about. Here's a giant snow beast. So we probably see this on the planet where Tora had the jacket that I said was like the Clone Wars Padme. I would say this is on a water world, but it appears to be snow around them. These are guys, of course, from Kragan's crew that we're aware of. Here we have Flix and Orca and CB-23 flying through space. This appears to be some kind of crazy crash landing. If you look out behind him, there's a lot of brown going on. This is probably the same part where they seem to be crashing into this very desert-like world. This does not have the same trees around it as possible Batu, so I think this is going to be a different planet. Sure. This looks very different indeed. But it does also have these canvases, so that could have been another place. I like here that he says act casual, and I'm going to say why here in a second. I also just like the idea of Yeager and Kaz and Sonara on a mission.
I'm a master at keeping a low profile.
The master, low profile.
Most impressive.
And then we go to Niku saying most impressive. So we have a fly casual and a most impressive, which are two famous Star Wars lines. Here, Niku appears to be talking maybe to the one alien that I said sounded like Cat Tabor, or maybe like some of the folks we're about to see here in a second.
The Aces can handle this.
Aces! We're going to see Aces fly. There's this coral planet again. We see a lot of fighting around here. Sonara doing cool things. Here appears to be some kind of explosion, obviously. This ship, I'm having a hard time identifying it, but I don't believe it's the Fireball. Flying away from, I mean, there's a lot of green in that. I mean, that's a very multicolored explosion, but you can see here it is an asteroid. Here seems to be another ship. And then that ship gets wiped out, and then this thing blows up all sorts of colors. Here's another alien species. I think, if I understand correctly, this is the character who's supposed to be voiced by Lucy Lawless.
You're quick.
Yeah, see here again, we see Hype Ship. which may have been the one in the other shot, and the lighting just might have been messing with the color, and messing me up. But that seems to be a thing they have to deal with. This planet is the probably Batu planet, I would assume, which makes me, again, more convinced that it's not Batu. I just really want it to be. Got some nice graffiti over here. This symbol has a lot of people talking. It's like a yin-yang symbol with a fish. It makes me think of a book I read called Legends of Luke Skywalker by Ken Liu. And in it, there was a story where Luke Skywalker goes and meets this culture of people that worship the tide, and the tide is the Force. They just call it the tide. And there's a lot to do with fishing and stuff, and it's ambiguously canon because it's a story told about Luke Skywalker set within the Star Wars universe. So the canonicity of it is that this story is told. We don't know how much of it really did happen. However, in The Last Jedi, we see Luke like fishing the way the people fish in the story, and catching a fish like is talked about in that story. So that story to me has always had a deeper tie to canon. And so seeing a Force symbol with a fish, that's immediately where my mind goes to, that this could be one of the people that worship the tide. But we'll see.
Recognize all of these symbols.
And then, of course, we have the children from Tahar, and they're back, and they have some nice clean clothes finally. So it's exciting to see them. Here, this to me screams like holocron case, especially with the red. Red always means bad, dark side things, but we don't really know what it could be. Here's this wonderful lady saying it's a powerful power source from long ago. Now, of course, we're led to believe that's this thing because of the editing. Again, it could be deceitful editing. She could be talking about something else and not whatever is in this box.
From an ancient time.
I really want them to actually be talking to her in this shot because I would love to see her, and the lighting would match, but I'd love to see Freya like having to listen to Force stuff and sing what she would say. A big conclusion, so there's a lot of talk about that, but I really like these like water dragons. I think that's really cool. And then this guy is nasty looking. Look at this. So this is on one of the planets. This is probably that cliff planet, that like second new planet, the one where Kaz like tripped and fell. Just because I see all the canyons, that's what leads me to think that. And he's running from it there, and this looks like that canyon planet. Here we see that bounty hunter again. He's jumping down with a really cool... Here he appears to have his mask off. He appears to only have one eye. And he's karate chopping with his like energy axe, which is pretty sweet. The way it's cut, it makes you feel like this explosion is this explosion, but this explosion's green and this explosion's red. So I'm not entirely sure that's true. There's just a lot of explosions so far in this trailer. There's definitely some electricity in this explosion, but there's also a lot of wispiness, which makes me feel like it could be other stuff going on. These two are hanging out. I am really excited for this like casino satellite. He's friends with the Hutt, which is cool. Again, different kind of ships here. I'm not necessarily sure who those would be. Here's more of that wispy red electricity explosion, so that's probably the same explosion we saw out in the courtyard. I see CB-23 and the children from Tahar there. Here we have Tora's ship being chased by a really snazzy looking ship. Here we have some stormtroopers shooting at a TIE fighter. Can't really make out who's in the TIE fighter, which is on purpose. I'm sure they don't want us to know who that is yet. There's a couple of different options. Some people have hoped that it's Tam already leaving the First Order. I kind of wonder, though, here clearly Kaz and Niku are undercover. A lot of people have pointed out that they appear to be wearing the same kind of thing as Matt, the radar technician from the famous SNL sketch. But we've seen a ship that was flying away from a Star Destroyer that was getting shot at. We see these guys here. We see this TIE fighter. I kind of wonder if this isn't actually Kaz and Niku escaping from whatever this is and whatever's going on here. Here we have Tierney watching a good guy ship take off. I'm really curious what that is and where this could be. She's clearly on the ground somewhere, some kind of either city ruins or... Well, actually, if you look here at those blue dots and then blue dots, I wonder if she's actually inside wreckage inside a ship there. Kaz is shooting at stuff. We have more of the super battle droids. I've had it pointed out to me as well that this could actually be a Z-95 headhunter instead of an X-Wing. which is just a cool reference to old ships. We have Pyre and Tierney and person in the background. More of this new kind of trooper, which appears to be on one of the planets that has all of the canvases. Here we have probably Hype ship, and somebody else is going into the casino planet. Here we're back on the Coral world where they're fighting the monsters, which is pretty cool.
I got him.
This looks like it's the Colossus fighting off some TIE fighters.
Good to go. Punch it.
Going to hyperspace. So this battle is awesome. This is Tora fighting CB, or fighting the evil droid and kicking him. And here you can see CB-23 decapitated. But much like BB-8, I'm sure her head can just magnetize back on. Here, that's the pirate ship flying away from an explosion. That could be similar to the asteroid explosion we saw earlier in the trailer. Hype being excited. Hype flying and fighting some TIE fighters. And then the big moment, Kylo! So I've been asking on Twitter when people think this takes place. The biggest clue appears to be the scar. If you watch the beginning of The Last Jedi, Kylo has the big black line from where his face is healing. Here it's the scar and not the big black line. So people think that this is at least after the beginning of The Last Jedi, if not after The Last Jedi. So that tells me we have a couple of different time periods going on within this trailer, because we see Phasma, but then we see this scarred Kylo. So I kind of feel like Phasma will probably be early in the show. Again, Alex from Star Wars Explained pointed out that usually this is probably really just a trailer for the whole first half of the season, not the whole season. And so this could very well be with Kylo more towards the end of the first half of the season. But there's no necessarily way to know that. But he looks very similar to his TLJ outfit, and his scar is thusly. And of course, this is Matt Wood voicing Kylo, and you would know Matt Wood is the voice of General Grievous in the films, as well as the Clone Wars, and the voice of the battle droids in the Clone Wars. This is intense, because Kylo, at first I thought Kylo was force choking her, but really she's forcing her hand to go to her blaster, the implication being that he will kill her. Oh, here we go. Here's more letters. F, O, F, what was the last letter I said there? I don't remember. B, Fosp. That doesn't make any sense. And then Star Wars Resistance Season 2. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. October 6th. So yeah, that's kind of me going through the Resistance trailer frame by frame. I'm sure there's plenty of things out there I didn't catch. Like I said, there's a lot of really good breakdowns you can go check out that'll get a little bit more lore heavy if that's what you're into. I just wanted to break down the images with you guys and talk about it. We're still planning to do more discussion of what's coming up here on the channel, so please keep it here. Thank you for riding out with me through this really long breakdown. If you're not already, please follow us on all of the socials, and until next time, keep it real and fly casual.
Cooking can be fun.